Good Tuesday afternoon. This is Micah Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. I want to give you an update on the storm setup for today and for tomorrow. I wanted to do this a little bit earlier, but I really kind of wanted to see how things started to develop a little bit more. So we're going to take a look at that. What you got on your screen right now is a preliminary look at the 7-day forecast. Again, we've kind of had this wavy pattern, so temperature forecasts are going to be really prone to fluctuate as this pattern just does not want to settle down right now. A lot of that has to do with the developing strong El Nino. It will eventually move, but right now we're just staying in this active pattern. A pattern that's a little more spring-like, especially the setup for tomorrow is a type of intensity that you don't always see in June. A lot of times you see more in April and early May. So let's take a look at what we've got coming up. So here's the latest from the Storm Prediction Center. And you see they've added a slight risk for severe that does encompass Madison County as well. So we're now in a slight risk for severe storms this afternoon. They have increased the tornado threat for northern Indiana and kind of bumped the lower end risk down some, but in my opinion, this really should come all the way over to east central Indiana, probably down to Richmond or so, in my opinion. But regardless, as I always tell you, it doesn't matter where the lines on the map are. It's just a matter of knowing that the threats are there. All modes of severe are possible today, including damaging winds, of course, will be the main threat, and along with some possible uh, small to moderate sized hail. So that's what we got for today. Let's take a look at current radar. Here's a look at current radar, and this stuff's actually getting here a little bit early, but this is going to come in a couple of waves, and you can see this is actually beginning to deteriorate because this is not really a good time for storm development. So if this fades out, it'll leave a boundary behind, and that could be a trigger point for later on this afternoon when the actual main piece of energy comes. But that's what's on there. So you can actually probably see the cloud deck coming from the west and northwest already. It's been visible for about the last hour. The closest model to what we have going on right now is the RRFS A, and it's actually still even underdone. All the models are kind of underdone with what's going on right now, but this is the closest that any of them are to our current situation as we come up on 1 p.m. And you can see it has the activity out here to our west, kind of in patchy nature. This really kind of solidified a little bit more. As we advance through, here's 2 p.m., 3 p.m., and you see it continues to erode that leading edge, but new stuff develops behind it. And so then we watch, here's 4 p.m., 5 p.m., and this back here is what we're going to have to watch for any kind of tornado threat. It's going to be this backside. Maybe these pop-ups right in here could be some hail threats and some damaging wind threats, as some of these cells could decide to collapse and create some uh, microbursts even. That's something we always have to be wary of. But it's going to be this trailing line back here that we're really going to watch for. By the way, this is on the Synoptic Weather, synopticwx.com from BAM, free. Go check it out. Uh, Great tools that they're building into this, and they continue to improve it all the time. So always appreciative of all the work that my friends at BAM are doing. So here we look at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and this back here really begins to set itself up as you get to late afternoon, early evening. The sun's no longer, kind of beating straight down on the atmosphere, and the heat at the surface can begin to lift. And that's where we begin to see these storms develop. And again, if they stay in a patchy nature like this, then we'll continue to watch for a tornado threat. Damaging winds, again, main threat with this today. But and then here by 8 p.m., the line is pushing through. 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and it begins to fade out as it moves and loses the heat of the day. So that's what we kind of got to look forward to today. Again, it's sorry about that. again, the main time frame for Madison County is going to be some pop-ups in between, say 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. Some stuff could pop up, but once we pass about 5 p.m., then we'll begin to look here again. 6 p.m., 7, 8, 9, and 10. So prime time is going to be between about 5 to 9 p.m. for Madison County, especially that 7 to 9 p.m. time frame for severe. So, and of course, I will monitor that. If I need to go live, I will. Now let's move on to tomorrow. So here's the Storm Prediction Center's outlook for tomorrow. Again, Madison County is in an enhanced risk for severe with a moderate risk back here across central Illinois, north central Illinois into northwestern and northwest central Indiana. And Madison County, again, is in an enhanced. I think this could come southeast again as well, and I think this enhanced could come a little bit farther south and east. Uh, the energy, the dynamics, and everything for tomorrow are at a level again that you don't typically see in June. It's usually you're going to find those kind of dynamics in the late spring, maybe late April, early May, when the atmosphere, the battle between the seasons is really in high gear. This is what data is kicking out for energy for tomorrow is pretty incredible. And so, but as I tell you that, well, I'll show you all the risk and then I'll tell you the caveats. So again, we're in an enhanced risk for severe for tomorrow. Here's the tornado risk, and they've got us in a 5 to 9% risk for, and actually we're closer to the yellow. Actually, the yellow does come into Madison County, so Madison County is right around a 10% risk. What these mean is that your percent risk or probability of seeing a tornado within 25 miles of a given point. So it's pretty decent risk to be at 10%. And then you can see the hatching that's coming across here that indicates that we could see EF2, maybe even EF3 tornadoes that could stay on the ground for a while if they develop. The area back in here that's in the red and is circled in, that is a 15 to 20% risk for tornadoes. And then that as solid hatching indicates that you could see tornadoes stronger than EF3. And again, possible long track tornadoes. Unfortunately, that could come a little closer, but again, we don't want to worry about what their percentages are or where the lines are. We just want to know that tomorrow is a much higher risk, especially tornado risk, than what we've seen in a long time, as in our area. Here's the damaging wind outlook. Again, most of Indiana is in a 30 to 45% risk for damaging winds. And again, that hatching indicates possible wind gusts in excess of 75 miles per hour. So again, the damaging wind threat for tomorrow also is very impressive. And again, it's probably obviously the greatest risk, but we will be looking for all modes of severe for tomorrow. And there's a pretty high risk of 15 to 29% probability of large hail. And again, that cross hatching indicates, I believe it's greater than 2-inch hail possible. So, some large hail is possible tomorrow. Of all the threats tomorrow, the hail needs the most to go right for it. Illinois probably has a higher risk for hail because of the time of day and the kind of dynamics that are needed to create hail that large. But the risk does exist here as well. So I want to talk about caveats on that, and then I'll go through timing for tomorrow. A lot of times when you get these really strong setups where you have a lot of strong dynamics at play, one of a couple of things tends to happen. Either all those dynamics line up the way they're supposed to, and you have a major tornado and severe outbreak, or one of those dynamics becomes excessively strong and it basically just blows itself up, and then it kind of washes out some of the other dynamics, and you have a day where you have a high risk, but then almost nothing happens because one of those dynamics gets so far out of whack that again it releases itself early, messes up the sequence for the storms, and the whole thing collapses, and you just end up with thunderstorms And if that happens, then you'd maybe be looking for a torrential rain setup instead of a damaging wind and tornado setup. So that's the kind of caveat to this, and we won't really know until we start to see these things develop tomorrow. If any one of these dynamics is either going to fail to materialize or over materialize and kind of wash the whole thing out. So that's kind of the way things are looking right now. Let's take a look at timing for tomorrow. So since the RRFS is the model that is kind of initialized the closest to right, I'll go ahead and go with this, even though I think there's some things about it that are not correct. But this is at 2 p.m. tomorrow. And again, this is going to be a case where we could see some early afternoon storms and precipitation that sometimes make people let their guard down, but really it's in the process of souping the atmosphere up and leaving some boundaries behind that help instigate later activity. But here it is at 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, and you can see rain kind of dropping in here by 3, 4, 5. Here's the thing that we don't want to see. We don't want to see this surface low coming through at right in prime time, because right close to it, and there will be some boundaries. This doesn't show warm fronts and cold fronts, but these boundaries will come together right at this low pressure, and you'll get a lot of spin around this. And this actually would be not a good signal for Madison County at 5 p.m. tomorrow. But as always, you cannot take these things verbatim. This could be farther north, it could be farther south. It may not initialize like this. That low might be timed a little different, but I'm just saying this is what this model has, and this would not be a good setup around 5 p.m. for Madison County tomorrow. Again, we'll have to see how things actually pan out tomorrow. Then that advances on, and here we hit 7 p.m. and we're kind of in a dry span. And then we look back here, and here comes the main low and the main front, and you can kind of see this boundary right here that's kind of acting as a warm front. And right in here, these storms that come together at this triple point, within a certain distance of that low pressure, are going to be the ones that are the most prone to produce tornadoes. As we advance, you can see the direction that low is advancing, kind of right here to our north. It keeps us in this little triple point area. Now, this model is keeping all the energy near the low, which could happen, but odds are this back in here is going to have patchy storms along it, and we do not want to see isolated cells like this developing along the cold front or just ahead of the cold front. So again, we're going to have to watch tomorrow and see how this actually pans out. And then this brings the low right past Madison County, and then the activity begins to press off by about 3 a.m. on Thursday morning. That's just what model data has right now. Again, do not take any of this verbatim. This is just a general idea on things, and we'll have to see how things really set up tomorrow. What happens today is not really going to affect tomorrow, other than it might give us a better idea of where the storm tracks actually are. But other than that, what happens today or does not happen today will not affect tomorrow. So just a very quick recap. Again, we're in a slight risk for severe this evening. Prime time for severe for Madison County is going to be 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., but especially 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So Shelly Dodd, if you are watching, trying to squeeze that 7 p.m. for you so you can get home. But so 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. is the main time, in my opinion, for severe. But we could start to see some pop-up severe as early as 5 p.m. and some pop-up rain before that even. And then we'll quiet down. We'll be quiet most of the day tomorrow until we hit mid-afternoon. Then we'll begin to watch how things really develop as we get to mid-afternoon tomorrow, where things are really positioned, what dynamics are really in play, and then we'll go from there. But for now, there's an enhanced risk for severe for tomorrow for Madison County. including all modes of severe, including tornadoes and potentially strong long track tornadoes. So that's what I've got for you right now. And again, I will update you if needed this evening. I'll go live if needed this evening. And of course, I will go live tomorrow if I need to. I may have to take some personal time, get out of work early or something if the setup really looks like it ends up being that volatile. So, and then last thing, Elwood Fire Equipment, one of the page's sponsors over the last year. I was in contact with them today. They are going to renew. That is a huge blessing to this page. Very timely for it. So Elwood Fire Equipment is going to renew. So thank you so much to them. Thank you to Community Hospital, Madison, who's our biggest sponsor, Madison County Federal Credit Union, who's our longest sponsor, and they and Elwood Fire Equipment are big sponsors. Uranus just renewed back in early May, so thank you so much to Louie and Amy out there at Uranus for renewing with us as well, and all of our sponsors. Heavenly Hair. I'm trying to remember them off the top of my head. I should have it written down. Meldon HVAC. Just thank you so much to all of you who sponsor this page. Thank you so much to all of you who donate to this page. As always, if you can and you don't, please do so. It helps me pay for data. The computer I'm doing this on, I'm still paying on. I've got several different data suites that I subscribe to. I have to pay for web hosting for madcoweather.com. I have several things that I pay for. So anything is very helpful, not to mention all the time that I put into it on top of my full-time job. So thank you so much to the sponsors, and thank you to those of you who support this page financially, and thank you to all of you for trusting me with your weather. It's just me. I'm not a team here. It's just me doing this. So thank you for trusting me, and I will do my best to help keep you safe and aware if and when severe threatens.